I think a lot of people have forgotten, I'll do this, that your income is someone else's or someone's expense. So on a balance sheet, this joker over here had his checking account go down, did he not? For your checking account, yeah, I will. For your checking account to go up. So when your customer pays you money, did their bank account go down? Did your bank account go up? Okay, so these two correlate. So if we were to think about it, in order for this customer to be willing to let his checking account go down, do we not have to make sure that he thinks that our service is more valuable than the money in his pocket? Because isn't that the whole point of trade? He would rather have his car fixed than have the $500 in his pocket, right? So, but what if it's not worth more than what you're offering? It's very easy for us to say, oh, they can just go down the street. But when are we going to take ownership and self-reflect and say to ourselves, maybe we didn't call them back on time. Maybe for some reason they searched some old name and it pulled up our old address. They went to the wrong store. They finally got to our current address because we just moved a couple years ago. I don't even know how that happened. And they're kind of in an irritated, bad mood. And we don't want to take responsibility for that. Maybe they called, they showed up, and it was the one day when all my office staff was in the shop, and they stood there for 8 minutes with no one at the front counter until someone noticed them. And you run up there and you say, sorry. But meanwhile, at first they thought it was not a big deal. Then they were kind of irritated. Then they started boiling. Oh, and then you missed the date for the car to get done. It rolled over to the next day. Then when they picked it up, a light came back on. You don't even understand or remember the fact that they stood at the counter for 8 minutes when they dropped it off. Maybe they didn't even tell you that the address wasn't right, or that maybe they typed in your name wrong and pulled up some other guy's shop, and they accidentally went there first. But all you know is this guy's mad. You don't know why he's mad. But barrier after barrier was created for this person to get to your business. They're now irritated, and we don't want to own it. We want to say, go down the street, jerk. I don't need you. But we don't want to take any responsibility for the situation. See, when their checking account goes down, they are willing to say, I'm willing to take a lower net worth in order to get a service that you are providing me. That's just basic economics. But you have to see that you have to make it worth it. You are supposed to bring value to the world, so your value has to be greater than the dollars. See, you value the dollars more than the expense. They value the repair itself more than the dollars. And that's how it's a mutual deal. But if they don't, somehow we all get our feelings hurt, get our panties in a wad, sorry ladies, and then we run around and we get all frustrated about it. And then we look at our P&L and we go, oh my gosh, wait a second. How did I lose money? That was that so-and-so, and that was so-and-so, and how did we only get a 4% gross profit? Why didn't we always get a 60 or better? What happened? And you run around all mad. That came as a direct result of all those small verbal transactions over and over and over that screwed up. Everybody in this room does verbal transactions all day, do we not? Verbal contracts. They say do it, we say yes. We'll get it done by this date, you say why. We do these verbal contracts all day. But when we fail to teach our advisors how to properly do a verbal contract, can they sometimes create bear traps and trap doors and all kinds of booby traps and things to go wrong, razor wire and stuff for everybody else on the team to follow behind? Our GSs all of a sudden are shuttling them home, they blow up at the GS, they blow up at the advisor. Maybe you're a stronger presence. When you get on the front counter, they don't yell at you, but they blew up at your whole team, and now you feel like you got to be defensive. But what you don't realize is the guy's going through a bad day, or your one employee kind of ignored him. You know, one of the biggest things that drives me crazy in a business is when I walk into a business and I stand there and no one acknowledges me. You don't got to talk to me, but acknowledge me. And when your advisor is nervous and he's on the phone and he's trying to sell a job, and you have what we call a one-stage counter, which is I have a front counter that's in the waiting room with an audience, i.e. my customers. And a lot of you have to do that. And your real estate's set up that way, you can't do anything about it. I like a two-stage counter where they can kind of hide and talk. But if you're on a one-stage counter and they're talking and they got an audience, some advisors don't mean to be rude, but when they do this and they kind of cower and they look away from somebody coming in, they're just trying to focus because they're nervous. But the customer sees them totally differently, don't they? They think they've been doing this for 100 years. They're professional. What's the issue? Why are they looking me in the eye? And they get irritated. And then this comes through in the numbers. See, when you get your P&L and you look at it and you go, how come it says this? You have to keep saying, how come it says this? You got to keep digging. Why is my technician cost high? Who am I overpaying? Who is not on commission plan? Who is not motivated? How come customers don't want to buy from me? Why do they not value what I offer more than the money in their pocket? And if you don't ask those questions, you never end up discovering why the numbers are the boss. See, if you keep asking, the numbers kind of hide the truth. They reveal it, but they kind of hide it, the deep truth. They hide it. It's there. You got to dig. So, I've got this opinion about the Bible, whatever y'all believe, but I don't think it was ever put on the earth to reveal the truth. I feel like it was put on the earth to hide the truth. And I think that those that seek will what? Find. And I think a lot of you have been looking at P&L saying, I don't understand it, and you get frustrated and you close it. I want to encourage you. Open it back up, pull out a calculator, get a yellow pad, get a pen, or even a pencil so you can erase. And everybody here who's good at P&Ls will tell you the way they got good at it was doing it over and over and over. When one income goes up, something else must go down. You should know there is no such thing as 110%. It only goes up to 100. So when something's 50% and something else is 50%, they balance, but when something goes to 55%, the other thing has to go to what? 45%. And it's a percentage of your income. So when you see this over and over, you see them as guardrails. You see this as categories and percentage blocks. But the problem is, all of it is based off of every single time, your revenue. And while it may be a guardrail, it may be a percentage, it may be a category you have to fit into a box, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is net. Because you might do way more revenue than this guy over here, but if he's making more money than you, it doesn't mean jack. I sometimes jump on guys that own their buildings. Aaron, I'm making 20% net. And I go look at it and I go, where's your rent? I just got the interest on there. You're not making 20% net. How much is your mortgage? $3,000 a month. And you're doing $120,000 a month. Well, we should at least have this at 7-8% minimum. We would jack the rent up to where it's supposed to be, and all of a sudden now the rent's $9,000. Oh, you're making 12% a month. Well, that ain't fair. Yes, it is. That's what all the other boys are playing by. Those are the rules. Oh, well, I've got, loaner cars I'm not really charging myself for. There's all kinds of ways. Oh, I'm a technician and I don't put myself in the books, so I make 65% gross profit. Bull butter. So all these little tricks that lie to yourself and basically make the numbers untrue. The numbers are begging you to listen to them. They are coming to you with the truth. But they only come to you with the truth if they're accurate. If the data going in is correct. If the chart of accounts is set up correct. If you have a bookkeeper that gets them to you timely. So Stefan, if I was to give you a P&L that was 18 months old, would it help direct the ship? No. So Dave, if I came and offered to give you a balance sheet that was 2 years old, could you do anything with that? No. So let's just think about this, guys. Jonathan, if I offered to flush your transmission 2 years after I'm supposed to, or 40,000 miles later, and I'll do it twice. I'll do a double header for you. Is that just as good? It's like our AC filters at home. My daughter, hey, go pop this filter in. Or my son goes, Dad, we'll just change it twice. It doesn't work like that, buddy. The damage is done. That's the mentality. You have to do the filter when you're supposed to. You have to flush the transmission when you're supposed to. You have to do the balance sheet when you're supposed to. You're supposed to do the P&L when you're supposed to. And when you do it at the right time, it works. And then if you listen to it, you get rich. But if you ignore it, you get dumb. You get ignorant. And then you get afraid of it. And then you look at it and it scares you. And when it scares you, you don't want to do anything with it. Please, if you're really good at P&Ls and you see someone else in here that's struggling, help them. And somebody else, if you are struggling with P&Ls, when this class ends and you're walking around the hallway, voice that and give someone else a chance to offer you a helping hand in the hallway. Because I know there's a lot of people that would help. In fact, if you are good at P&Ls and you're willing to offer someone a helping hand today or tomorrow, would you please raise your hand? If you're good at profit and loss statements and you'd help somebody, there's at least 25 hands up in the room. So look around. Find one of these guys and they would walk you through your numbers.